Hi everyone, today I'm going to show you how to work corner to corner. You've probably seen this around online, but today I'm going to show you how to make a blanket or anything really that starts at one corner and works diagonally across until you reach the opposite corner. This here is an example of a blanket that I made, and you can see how I have a border going on here, but it starts with just this one block right here. And then the next row has two blocks. We're working diagonally, so one and then two, and you continue adding blocks going this way so the blanket gradually gets bigger and bigger until you reach the end or wherever you want to start decreasing, and then you can work towards the opposite corner here. So this is the end of that same row, and it's going to keep going this way until you end at the end of this far corner with just one block again. So this is a really easy technique, and it seems and looks a lot more complicated than it actually is, so I'm going to show you how to do it. Let's get started. Okay, so to start, we're going to make a slip knot. Insert your hook into the knot and pull it tight. Now, the base of our first square starts with the chain 5. We're going to chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I'm going to skip the first two spaces, so 1 and 2, yarn over and double crochet into the third space. One. We're going to double crochet into each of the next two spaces as well. Okay, here is the first block. It doesn't really look like much right now, but this is the first corner that we're going to start with. And as you can see, it's more rectangular than it is square, but that's how it's supposed to be. Some people actually start with a chain, like one extra chain here instead of this chain 2 space that we're counting as a double crochet. They'll start with a chain 6 and then work the same way, but starting in the 4th space. However, I think a chain 2 in the first one is better because it just makes it easier and makes the gaps less noticeable. Okay, so to start the next row, we have one row here, and our next row is going to be turned and worked this way. So we're going to rotate our work. So now we're facing this way. Again, we're going to chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I'm going to yarn over and double crochet into the third space from the hook. And each of the next two spaces. Okay, that's block 2. Now, we're going to actually, this is our first block and we had it here. We're going to continue working our second block, but we're going to need to join these two. So, we're going to insert our hook into this chain 2 space and slip stitch to join them, then chain 2, and then work 3 double crochet into the chain 2. Make sure your yarn is coming loosely. 1, 2, and 3. Now you have 3 spaces. So again, to work the next row, you're going to do the exact same thing. You're going to start with chain 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can turn before or after you chain 5, it doesn't really matter. Then you're going to flip the work around again so that you have this corner. It's like this right now. You're going to flip it so you're working this way again. We're going to work 3 double crochet starting from the 3rd space from the hook. 1, 2, then here is the 3rd one, and 3. Now to start on the top of each row, working into these spaces, we're going to slip stitch the chain 2 space to join them, just like this. Chain 2, and work 3 double crochet into that chain 2 space. 1, 2, and 3. Then again, slip stitch to the top of that chain 2 space, chain 2, and work 3 double crochet into that space. You see how easily that works up? Every time you chain 5 and then turn, that chain 5 over here turns into one more block that you've added. So if I had another block here, let's take this out for now. If I did a chain 5, that would make one more block here, and then another here, here, and here. So that would be 4 blocks across this row. Right now I have 3. So you can see how that went from our 1 block, 2, 3, and the next one would be 4. So you just continue working in that same way to increase for as much as you want, and when you're ready to decrease, here's what you do. Say the next row I wanted to go back down to 2 blocks, and I just wanted a small square. I would turn my work, and instead of chaining 5, I'm going to bring my yarn to the back, and I'm going to slip stitch into these 3 stitches. 1, 2, and then top of the chain 2 right here is the 3rd. Okay, so see how I did not add the next block, I just worked back up so that I was working from 1 and 2 here. So I didn't add an extra space. So now I'm going to work as normal, chain 2, yarn over and do 3 double crochet into that chain 2 space to make our first block. 1, 2, and 3. Again, we're going to slip stitch the top of this space to join them. Chain 2, and then work 3 double crochet into this space. 1, 2, and 3. Now again, we're going to slip stitch to the top of this space and close that here. And now we have 2. So I didn't add another space here, and I didn't continue to add another space here. If I did that, then it wouldn't increase, but it would continue to keep 3 stitches, so it would be a rectangle. It would just shift over this way. So I didn't add one here, I didn't chain 5, so I didn't add one here, and I'm not adding my last block into this chain 2 space. Okay, so if I turn, I'm starting my row over here. Now to finish this last block, I do the same thing. It's another decrease. So bring your yarn to the back, and you're going to slip stitch into each of the next 3 spaces here. So 1, 2, and 3. Okay, now we're going to chain 2. This is for our last block. We're bringing it back down to 1 space, and we're going to work one more block by doing our 3 double crochet into that chain 2 space. Oops. There you go. It's 1, 2, and 3. So I got our last block, and that would fill the space, so we're going to slip stitch the top of this, and we could bind off there. Let's take a look at it. So you see you have a square now. If you did a blanket, you would just do this on a much bigger scale and work more rows in between, but it's the same idea. You have one block for the first row, 2 blocks in the second, 3 blocks in the third, and this is our widest row diagonally across. And then we start decreasing. So now we have 2 blocks in the 4th row, and then our one last block in the 5th row. So in 5 rows, this is what you have. Okay, I hope you enjoy this and that this made working corner to corner really simple and easy. I have a pattern for that blanket I showed you at the beginning available on my blog, so just use the links in the description to click over and get the full pattern for that. I'll see you next time. Bye!